The Legend of Zelda franchise has the best openings of any video game ever. I don't think many people would dispute that, but there are some great contenders. Most Zelda openings are designed to ignite your sense of adventure, be it staring out into the vast continent of Hyrule, or the desire to defeat the Dark King of Evil. Each Zelda has a highly memorable moment to start their legendary adventure. But my favourite of all these moments is the one that's the most heartfelt rather than the most epic. Enter the Wind Waker. Most Zelda games begin with a slideshow of some sort of fable, like the goddess creating the Triforce. Well, Wind Waker tugs on the heartstrings of nostalgia as the legend circles around our adventure in Ocarina of Time. It's so exhilarating to see how a previous version of our character shaped the entire land of Hyrule centuries after his time. It's something Zelda has never really done again, which makes this moment all the more remarkable. Moving on to the setting itself, Outset Island. What I love about this village is the peace and tranquility of it. You don't really appreciate it until you've set out across the seas and found out just how much danger lies beyond the shores. I wish it could communicate the danger outside the island in some way before we leave, because it makes the island feel so cozy compared to almost everywhere else in the game. Wind Waker immediately sets the stage that this will be Link's biggest adventure to date in a subtle way by giving you the telescope. It's a tool you haven't needed before, but it makes the adventure seem all the grander, as you'll need to spy far-off locations rife with exploration and mystery. Outset Island feels like Link's home for the first and arguably only time. Even though Skyloft and Orden were his home, they were too big to feel like a place our protagonist had a special connection to, while Outset Island is just small enough that it feels like everyone on the island cares about Link and his sister, and there's a real sense of community around the villages. Why Outset Island is far more effective than places like Kokiri Forest is because of the protagonist that inhabits it. I've said this before in a previous video I made on Wind Waker, but the Link in Wind Waker is an actual character with emotion. So when he makes a connection to a character, it no longer feels one-sided. Instead of the emotionless slab that wanders out of his hometown, Wind Waker Link has a lingering sense of regret. He doesn't want to leave his home, but he knows that he has to in order to save his sister, and it makes it all the more challenging for him to say goodbye. I especially love how the childish and cartoony art style complements the fact that Link is dealing with leaving his childhood behind. The best moment comes from saying goodbye to your grandma. She undoubtedly lost both her children some time ago, and that's why Link and Ariel's parents are never mentioned. So she would have become highly protective over her two grandchildren. What's worse is that her bloodline has some sort of connection to the royal family of Hyrule, and that's why she has the hero's shield hanging in her house. So we have a woman, who was quite possibly a Sheikah, who lost both her children, maybe in battle, and retired to Outset Island to raise her grandchildren. But the hero chosen by the gods cannot be respun, so when Destiny arrives on the shores of Outset Island, her grandchildren are flung headfirst into the world she tried to leave behind. Through tears and gritted teeth, she's forced to send her grandson into the dangerous sea in hopes of saving her granddaughter, which later sends her into an immense depression because she failed to protect what little family she had left. It's an extraordinary storytelling moment in a franchise that's not particularly praised for its narratives. The other bit of excellent storytelling on Outset Island comes from Tetra. Tetra is one of the best characters in the Zelda franchise, and her introduction is a big part of that. When she learns about the kidnapping of your sister, she doesn't act like a stereotypical NPC would. She tries to steer you away from adventure because she knows the dangers that lie out at sea. She takes the role of Saria or Ilia by being a friend that helps you, but she's much better because there are no romantic undertones. The character dynamic between Link and Tetra is also a big part of why I like this opening. The mix between Link's naivete and Tetra's capableness ensures that the player doesn't feel like an idiot heading off into the world. Tetra's presence is calming for Link and the villagers, and she's an indispensable part of this opening. The Legend of Zelda games always open incredibly strong, but it's Wind Waker's focus on character that makes it so unique. Rather than laying out the grand adventure in front of us, Wind Waker takes the time to lay out the characters that will be important to us on our journey, and that's why it has the strongest opening in the franchise.